My name is Martin Dael, and I'm working at the Viking Ship Museum as a boat builder.
My name is Tríona Sørensen, and I'm a curator also working at the Viking Ship Museum. And today we will be presenting a paper called The Late Viking Age Warship Skuldelev, exploring old interpretations with a new reconstruction. This paper will present an introduction to the framework for the new Skuldelev reconstruction project, seen from both the boat builders and an archaeologist perspective. We'll be looking at the complexities and peculiarities of the original ship's hull, previous interpretations of the ship's function, and presenting the initial plans for the research programme accompanying the project. But before we get into all of that, we need to start with the archaeological basis for the project, the ship find Skuldelev. It's one of 5 11th century Viking ships which were excavated from Roskilde Fjord on the island of Zealand, Denmark in 1962. And what they found during excavation was not 5 shipwrecks which had been lost in a storm. Rather, they found 5 ships that had been intentionally sunk, sometime between 1060 and 1080, in order to create a barrier across one of the main sailing channels on the fjord. The barrier was presumably built either as part of a wider system of defences against seaborne attack on the town of Roskilde, or possibly as a means of controlling traffic in and out of Roskilde at the bottom of the fjord. The barrier was built in 2 phases, and Skuldelev, which you can see here marked with the red arrow, was involved in the first phase of construction. The ship was towed or rowed or sailed out onto the fjord, stripped of all loose components, filled with stones, and scuttled across the sailing channel. It's estimated that the ship would have been approximately 30 years old at the time it was scuttled on the barrier. Skuldelev was relatively well preserved, with roughly 50% of the ship's timbers surviving the many centuries at the bottom of the fjord. The ship has been dendrodated to circa 1030 and was built in the Denmark region. At 17.3 metres long and 2.5 metres wide, the ship is defined as a small, late Viking Age warship. Long, narrow, and built for speed, it would have been equipped with a single square sail and 26 oars. With a draft of just 60 centimetres, the ship would have been highly manoeuvrable and equally suited for navigating open sea and shallow inland waterways. Pretty standard Viking ship stuff so far, you might think. But Skuldelev is actually one of the most intriguing ship finds from the late Viking Age, as Martin will explain.
Skuldelev has several characteristics that makes it quite unusual when compared with other warships of that period. There's quality of material. The materials are not the best in this ship. There's knots in the planking underneath the waterline. There's also the length of the planking. They're quite short. Some of it is because of repairs, but also some short planks has been put in from the very start of the building period. There's a mix of wood, different species. There's oak and pine and ash. So quite a lot of different material is used for the boat. The Skuldelev ship has been heavily used and repaired. Red is the original timber and purple is repair bits. And then there's also the orange, which is reused from other ships. The oar plank is reused from another ship. The distance between the rowing station on Skuldelev didn't match the distance between the rowing station on the ship they took the plank from. So they had to close over some of the original oar port and cut new ones. The original system had round oar port holes, but the new ones are square. This would have been visible throughout the life of the ship, yet no effort was made to replace this plank. There's also sections of carving on one of the reused planks, taken from another ship, and no effort made to continue it on the incorporation into the new design of the ship. So there's a lot of secret hidden in the whole, some strange decisions taken in terms of the ship appearance that we don't see parallels for in other ships finds.
Before we dive into the issues concerning the interpretation of the find, it's important to understand the historical period in which the ship was built and used. Here you can see a timeline covering the period from the construction of Skuldelev 5 in roughly 1030 to its deposition between 1060–1070. The green arrows mark significant events in the ship's life, including a major repair shortly before it was sunk, while the rest of the timeline illustrates the rather dramatic cultural historical background covering Skuldelev 5's lifespan. The ship was built during the reign of Canute the Great with his North Sea Empire, and would endure through the reigns of 3 further kings in a period of military and political strife in Scandinavia following Canute's death. Several significant naval battles are described in historical sources, and while we can't specifically link Skuldelev 5 to any of these, the timeline paints a strong picture of a period and a culture in which seaborne military prowess was paramount. So far, we've referred to Skuldelev 5 as a warship, but some of you may also be familiar with the Scandinavian term lellingsskip. The term lelling refers to an organised system of coastal defence, which is found in historical texts from around 1200 onwards. The system required locals to supply warships and crew to the local magnate or king in times of conflict. Ole Konrad Pedersen, who excavated the Skuldelev ships, interpreted the peculiarities of Skuldelev 5's hull, the poor quality of some of the materials, the reuse of timbers from other ships, and so on, as suggesting that the ship was a lelling ship, as there is little evidence for similar design and material choices among other contemporary ship finds. The images you can see here emphasise the relatively small size of Skuldelev 5 as a warship. In the photo, you can see the first reconstruction of Skuldelev 5, Helge Ask, in the foreground, sailing next to the 30-metre-long reconstruction of the warship Skuldelev 2. The lower image shows Skuldelev 5's scale in relation to the contemporary Norwegian warship, Roskilde 6. In both scale and quality of materials, Skuldelev 5 clearly is not a high-prestige warship like the 2 others. However, historians refute the idea of Skuldelev 5 being a lelling ship, as the ship itself predates the first written reference to the lelling system. And so the debate ends up stranded in kind of academic no man's land. Can the experimental archaeological reconstruction of the ship help to reignite this debate, and perhaps shed new light on the interpretation of the ship's function? We believe so, as the renewed focus on the decisions and choices made by the Viking Age boat builders will be thoroughly reassessed and investigated by their modern-day counterparts, something which can hopefully help to provide a middle ground to the traditional archaeology versus history debate.
Helge Ask was built from 1990 till 1991, built in just under a year, and launched in 1991, and a volunteer boat guild was established. Helge was the first reconstructed warship built at the museum, so the crew played an important role in discovering how long and narrow warships should be handled. More or less the same group of people has stayed in the guild through all these years. They've sailed a lot of trips around Denmark and also been around Norway, Sweden, Scandinavia, and the ship has been on exhibition in different places as well. The guild has also played quite an important role in maintaining the ship, and this has helped to prevent the ship from decaying. And the big piece of work they've put in has actually done that Helge is still in quite good shape today.
Helge Ask is still seaworthy, but is now over 30 years old and looking into retirement. So when we decide to start a new project with a new full-scale reconstruction, it's for a variety of reasons. One is that the 5 original ships are best disseminated when we have a full-scale sailing reconstruction of each ship. We've gained a great deal of experience with the reconstruction of ship finds since Helge was built, and this is an opportunity to revisit the reconstruction model and achieve a form that is closer to the original ship. Our ship reconstructor Vibeke Bischoff has analysed and made several adjustments to the model, so the form of this ship will be slightly different from Helge. A project with this kind of timescale also has the scope for several associated research projects during the building period, which Martin will tell more about in a minute. But most of all, it's because we still have many questions about Skuldelev 5's function and use in the Viking Age that we haven't yet found answers to. A new reconstruction and a programme of controlled sailing experiments after the ship is launched is the best way to find these answers and unlock the secrets of the ship's hull.
In terms of finishing this build, we'll be more true to the original ship. When Helge was built, a conscious decision was made to make clear lines, so the irregular details on the original ship was not incorporated. The overall size and form of Helge is true to Skuldelev 5, but the finish is quite different. With this ship, we'll include more of those strange details so we get more accurate construction of the ship. And as a craftsman, it's quite nice to make parts on a boat where you chop them out roughly and they are just right the first time. We are also building the ship again because a project like this is a great opportunity to explore different aspects of Viking Age boat building. We will be carrying out several research projects during this build as a way of creating new content for the new museum and new publications. An example of this is collaborating with a Norwegian project on cleaving oak. They are building a new reconstruction at the Roskilde ship, and we are going to pool our knowledge and experience with different cleaving techniques. We've been talking for years about developing a catalog of Viking Age boat building tools, tool marks and the shavings they create. The surface of Skuldelev 5's timbers is quite degraded, so in contrast to so many other ships, we have few tool marks preserved. This gives us a little more freedom to choose from the broader Viking Age toolkit and to explore the whole issue of tool marks and the traces tools leaves behind, like the shavings you can see in the image here. Just to give a status on where we are now, we started building quite late in the summer last season, and we have made the keel, the backbone, and now we are starting out with the stem pieces.
In February of this year, we selected and felled the majority of the oak for the project, and this year will be focused on producing the stems and the first planks of the hull. The project is set to run over the next 6 years, with building work during the summer months and desk-based research going on all year round. At present, we're aiming for a launch date in 2028 to coincide with the opening of the new Viking Ship Museum in Roskilde. Thank you to EXARC and the committee of EAC 13.